the black kind waitress who was fired for helping a blind. K9. Then army soldiers flooded the cafe. Yesterday, the cafe was just another stop on the corner of Main and 3rd. Today, it's the beginning of a story no one in this small town will forget. The sun slips over the edge of the brick buildings, flooding the sleepy town with light that stretches long shadows across the sidewalk. Inside Mason's cafe, the warmth hums, coffee brewing, soft chatter, plates clinking gently against worn wooden tables. The smell of cinnamon rolls fresh from the oven, wraps around you like a morning hug. Linda Hayes, mid-30s, hair pulled into a no-nonsense ponytail, moves with purpose, not rushed, not slow, just steady, like someone who's learned how to find calm in chaos. She greets each customer with the same soft, sincere smile. "Hey, Charlie, usual with extra syrup?" "Morning, Mrs. Brenner, seat by the window today." She's not just a waitress here. She's part of the rhythm, part of the reason people come in every day, not just for food, but for her. She wipes down a table, glances at the clock. It's early, but almost time for the regulars. Then, the bell above the door jingles. But this time, the room doesn't stay calm. Every head turns. And standing there, in the doorway, is a figure that doesn't quite belong. It's a German shepherd. Not just any dog. He's old. Grizzled muzzle, tired legs, a body once powerful, now slowed by time. His eyes are foggy, blind, and across his back, a faded, torn vest. Barely readable. But if you squint, if you know what you're looking for, you can still make out 2 words. Service dog. Linda freezes. The tray in her hand teeters. The dog doesn't bark. Don't whimper. Just stand there, waiting, like he's trying to remember if he's welcome or not. Linda sets the tray down slowly, crouches, and speaks in the softest voice, one she usually saves for frightened kids and broken-hearted regulars. "Hey, buddy, where's your person?" He doesn't move, just lowers his head like he's tired of being asked. She steps closer. Notice the scars on his ears, the small fray in the stitching of the vest, and something else. An ID tag tucked into the collar. She squints. Max. She reads it aloud like it's a name she's supposed to know. The room stays silent. People watch like they're not sure if this is a stray or something sacred. Linda gently takes his paw, her voice catching slightly. "Who left you out there, Max?" She leads him in, carefully, slowly, past the uncertain eyes, the half-whispered murmurs, past the booths full of regulars who don't quite know what to make of the blind old soldier now limping across their morning routine. She settles him onto a faded mat by the corner. Pour a bowl of water, a side plate with scrambled eggs. And just like that, Max becomes part of the room. But not everyone is happy about it. Linda barely has time to turn before Greg Mason, the cafe's owner, storms in. "What is that doing here?" Linda looks up, hands still holding the empty water bowl. He's a retired service dog. He wandered in. Looks like he hasn't eaten in days. Greg scoffs, arms crossed, voice rising. "This isn't a shelter. He's a liability, Linda. Health code violations, insurance risk, not to mention, he's scaring off customers." Linda glances through the window to where Max lies, head down, but ears perked. Listening, always listening, like soldiers do. "He's blind," she says softly. "He served. Someone abandoned him out there." Greg doesn't flinch. "And that's our problem now." Then Greg jabs a finger toward the door. "You want to help stray dogs, do it on your own time. He goes, or you go." Now Linda here. Linda's thoughts. Not everyone sees a hero when he's broken and worn out. Some only see the mess he leaves behind. But sometimes it takes losing everything to find the one person brave enough to care anyway. Well, I think I would be that brave person. Linda stood still that day, torn between what was right and what was easy. But what she didn't know was that her quiet act of defiance had just set something powerful in motion. Because Max wasn't just any dog, and the people watching. Some of them had friends who wore the same scars. Max had barely settled onto that mat when trouble came storming in. And for Linda Hayes, the line between compassion and consequence was about to get razor thin. The soft lull of the cafe is broken. Plates clatter louder. A woman in pearls whispers to her husband. Someone near the door mutters, "Is that even legal?" Linda hears it all, but her eyes stay on Max. He's curled up near the corner table, chin resting on his paws, tail still. Not barking, not begging, just existing. Then the back door slams. Again. Grant Mason, co-owner, manager, and professional buzzkill, charges through the kitchen like a man on a mission. Tall, red-faced, in his usual white button-up that always looks one size too tight. He points directly at the dog. What is he still doing here? Linda sets down the coffee pot, keeps her voice calm. He's not hurting anyone. Grant scoffs. He's not supposed to be here, Linda. This is a food establishment. You know the rules. I know he's a service dog, retired, blind. You also know he doesn't have papers, or an owner present. So you tell me, who takes responsibility if a customer complains, or worse? Before Linda can answer, a woman approaches the counter, middle-aged, hair in a tight bun, purse clutched like she's in a courtroom. "I'd like to speak to the manager, please." Grant grins, stepping forward. "You're looking at him." She jerks her thumb toward Max. "That dog is unsanitary. I don't want my children around it. He should be removed immediately." Grant turns to Linda, practically glowing with authority. "You heard the lady." Before Linda can move, a small voice cuts through the air. "Wait, he's not bad." Everyone looks. It's a boy, no more than 8. Sitting at table 4 with his dad, a half-eaten pancake in front of him. The boy stands slowly, napkin still tucked in his shirt. "He's a hero," he says. "My uncle had a dog like that. They went to war together." The woman gasps like she's been insulted. "That's enough. Sit down, Mason." Grant raises a hand. "Kid, let the adults handle this, all right?" The boy sinks back down, eyes wide. Linda clenches her jaw. She knows what's coming next. "Linda," Grant says, voice lowering into that tone he uses when he's pretending to be reasonable. "I like you. I do. You've been here a while. You're dependable." Beat. "But I can't have you making decisions for this business." Another beat. "So I'm giving you 2 options. 1, walk that dog out the door right now, or 2, walk out with him." The cafe freezes. The hiss of the espresso machine, the clink of forks, all of it just stops. Linda looks down at Max. He's not even looking back, just breathing steady, like he knows this isn't his first rejection, maybe not even his worst. She looks up at Grant. Her hands tremble slightly. "That dog," she says slowly, "served people who'll never come back. He saved lives. He deserves a place to rest." "This is a business, Linda," Grant snaps. "And I'm a human being," she says, voice rising now. "Not a machine. Not some waitress robot who just pours coffee and shuts her mouth." She looks around the room, at the people watching, at the boy at table 4, still watching her like she's the only adult in the room who gets it. "I'll take him out," she says, a breath of relief from Grant. Then she adds, "But I'm not coming back." Sometimes kindness costs more than money. Sometimes it costs your safety net, your comfort, your job. But when you stand for something that can't speak for itself, you find out who you really are. Linda walked out of Mason's cafe that day with nothing but a leash in one hand and her pride in the other. She didn't know where they'd go, but Max followed her without hesitation, because even when the world turned its back on him, she didn't. What neither of them knew was that someone else had been watching, and that quiet decision to walk away, it was about to echo louder than either of them could imagine. Now, Linda thought the worst was behind her when she walked out of that cafe with Max. She had no job, no plan, but at least she had her dignity. Turns out, the world wasn't done taking. Morning light creeps over the sidewalk. Linda's curled on a bench just outside the city park, her sweater wrapped tight, her purse doubling as a pillow. Max rests beside her, head against her thigh, breathing slow, eyes closed. To strangers passing by, it looks like an old mutt and his homeless owner. To Linda, it's the only moment of peace she's had in 24 hours. Then she hears it, laughter. Not the warm kind, sharp, mean, coming in fast. 3 college kids in hoodies and backward caps strut past, clutching iced coffees, one holding up a phone. "Yo, check it out," the guy says, camera pointed straight at Linda and Max. "Aw, is that your hero dog, lady?" The others snort. "Wait, is this the dog from TikTok? The one who got her fired?" "Man's blind and broke. That's tough." "Say cheese, soldier," one mocks and snaps a photo with a fake salute. Linda stands quickly, shielding Max with her body. "Leave us alone," she says, voice low but firm. But the phone stays up, recording. "Come on, Grandma. Don't be shy. America needs its next viral fail." Max shifts, startled. One of the guys mimics barking noises. That's when Max stumbles. His paw snags the edge of the bench. He hits the pavement with a dull thud, yelps in pain. Linda drops to her knees. Hey, baby, it's okay," she whispers, trying to cradle his head. But his legs shake. He's trying to stand, but confused, blinded, panicked. Tears flood her eyes. "Stop filming," she yells, but it's too late. The damage is done. The kids are still laughing as they walk off, muttering something about boomer drama and washed-up vets. She holds Max tighter, her sweater soaking in his shivers. The world blurs. The street feels louder, crueler. For the first time since it all began, Linda breaks. Her sobs are silent, but her body trembles hard. That's when she hears it. "Linda?" She turns. Grant, standing outside the cafe door just 10 feet away, coffee in one hand, disgust smeared across his face like too much cologne. "You're still here?" Linda doesn't answer. She just clutches Max. "You've got a lot of nerve, camping outside my business." She finally speaks, voice hollow. "I wasn't bothering anyone." "People called me," he snaps. "Said there's a crazy lady out here scaring customers with her diseased mutt." Her eyes harden. "He's not diseased." "Oh, forgive me. Decorated veteran, right?" He smirks. "Well, congratulations. You're internet famous now, for all the wrong reasons." He steps closer. "You don't work here anymore. You have no right to be anywhere near this property." "Grant, please. We have nowhere else to go." "Not my problem." Then, louder, so people can hear, "You're trespassing. I suggest you take your stray and find a sidewalk that doesn't face my cafe." She flinches. People stop to stare. Grant's voice rises. "Let this be a lesson to everyone. Kindness doesn't pay the bills, and rules exist for a reason." He turns to go back inside, then pauses. "Oh, and for the record, you're officially banned. Don't come back. Ever." Door slams, lock clicks. Linda's still crouched on the pavement. Max's tail thumps once against her shoe, trying to comfort her the only way he knows how. But she's too broken to respond. She buries her face in his fur, and in that quiet moment, her last shred of dignity slips away. Imagine, when you've lost your job, your home, and your hope, it's not the cruelty that hurts most. It's the feeling that no one stood up for you when it mattered. Linda had no idea a camera caught the entire thing. No clue that across town, a man in uniform, watching from a darkened room, was already dialing his team. Because this wasn't just public humiliation, it was the last straw. And someone had just picked the wrong woman and the wrong dog to shame in public. Heartbreaking. But this was only the beginning. Linda had been humiliated, discarded, and left alone with nothing but Max and the cold sidewalk. What she didn't know was that a storm was already coming, and it wore boots. The morning begins like any other inside Sunrise Café. The hiss of espresso machines, the clink of silverware, laughter, chatter, the low murmur of regulars nursing their routine. Grant, the manager, struts behind the counter, smug and polished. He's even got a local paper open in front of him. Front page story. Waitress fired for harboring blind dog. He chuckles. Bad press is still press, he mutters, sipping his coffee. Then it happens. The door swings open. But this time, no bell chimes. Just the sound of heavy boots. Not one pair. Not two. 6. 6 men file in, all in pressed uniforms, clean-shaven. Tight posture, broad shoulders, each one built like a mountain, but silent as shadows. They move with precision, intentional, calm. The cafe hushes, forks stop mid-air, phones slowly lower. Even the music feels like it dims. Grant freezes. One of the soldiers steps forward. He's older, weathered, maybe late 40s. His voice is gravel, but his tone is calm, controlled. Are you the manager? Grant straightens, swallowing hard. Yes. Can I help you, gentlemen? The soldier doesn't answer that. Instead, he scans the room, then looks Grant dead in the eye. Are you the one who fired Linda Hayes? Grant falters. Look, I don't know what this is about, but, this is private property. I'm gonna have to ask. The soldier lifts a hand, doesn't touch him, doesn't threaten, just stills the air. I'm Captain Elijah Washington, United States Army. He glances back at his men. Each one takes a step forward, just enough to make the room shrink. The captain continues. We served with Max, Afghanistan, Kandahar base, 2012 to 2015. Murmurs ripple through the cafe. Wait, the dog, that dog? Captain Washington nods once. No smile, just respect. He's not a stray, he's a veteran. He's saved lives. One of the younger soldiers steps up. Tall, dark hair, voice thick with emotion. He saved mine. Pulled me out of rubble after the mortar strike. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Max. Another speaks, this one quieter, shaking his head in disbelief. We didn't even know he'd been discharged without notice. No ceremony, no honors. They just tossed him. Captain Washington looks back to Grant. And when this woman, who gave him shelter, warmth, and dignity, stood by him, you fired her? Grant opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. Captain Washington doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. We don't take kindly to our own being mistreated, whether they walk on 2 legs or 4. A hush blankets the room again. The weight of justice. Not loud, but firm. Then a sound breaks it. The door opens again. Linda, hair tied back. Same jeans from yesterday. Max walks beside her, limping just slightly, tail wagging weakly. She pauses, frozen at the sight of the 6 soldiers facing the cafe counter. Max lifts his head, ears twitching. Then it happens. They all turn, and every single man in uniform snaps to attention. Not because of rank, not because of orders, but out of honor. Captain Washington steps forward. "Are you Linda Hayes?" Her voice catches. Yes." He nods once, sharp, respectful. "Ma'am, Max served with us in the Middle East. He was decorated for courage under fire. He is family. And what you did for him was something our entire unit would have done, without question." She blinks fast, tears threatening. Another soldier steps up, this one holding something, a folded flag, gently pressed to his chest. This was Max's retirement flag. We'd been saving it for the day he came home, but nobody ever told us. He places it in her hands. "We want you to have it. You brought him home, more than anyone else ever did." Linda looks down at the flag, then at Max, who nudges her hand softly. The cafe is silent. Even Grant, sweating behind the counter, doesn't move. One of the younger customers stands, then another. Applause begins. Quiet at first, then steady. Linda can't speak. She just holds the flag, and Max leans into her hip, sensing the shift, the warmth, the pride. Captain Washington turns to the room. "We're not here to start trouble, but we are here to make sure people remember. A hero is a hero, and sometimes the only one who sees that is a waitress who still believes in kindness. Sometimes the world overlooks its quiet heroes, but every now and then justice marches back in. Not with noise, but with boots, honor, and the kind of loyalty that never forgets who stood by their own." The story should have ended there, with a folded flag and heartfelt justice. But Linda's journey was far from over, because just as the soldiers turn to leave, one of them stops and places a sealed letter in her hand. "Ma'am," he says, "there's something else. Something Max left behind. And what was inside that letter would change her life forever." Linda stands there, stunned, the folded flag in one arm, and now a sealed letter in the other. The soldiers don't speak. They just wait, because what's inside that envelope isn't just paper, it's truth. With trembling fingers, Linda breaks the seal. She unfolds the single sheet slowly. The ink is bold, sharp, typed by military hands, but with the weight of real stories beneath every word. She reads aloud. "To whomever cares enough to keep Max warm, this dog saved 6 American lives in 2013 during a night ambush outside Kandahar. He took shrapnel shielding a private, lost part of his hearing. He's more than a dog. He's a soldier. If you found him, thank you. Please treat him with the honor this country forgot to give him. Captain Elijah Washington, U.S. Army, Ret." Linda stops. Her voice breaks. Tears fall, but she's not alone this time. The room is dead silent. Then Captain Washington speaks. "May I?" he asks gently, stepping forward with a small velvet box in hand. Inside, 3 polished medals. The first, silver, round, weighty. The Military Working Dog Service Medal, for active duty bravery. The second, a gleaming purple. The Purple Heart, for wounds taken in the line of duty. And the third, engraved, gold-edged. The K9 Valor Award, posthumous. Linda gasps softly. "Posthumous?" Washington nods, voice tight. "He was declared KIA, killed in action. They never told us they misfiled him. Lost in the shuffle when our base shut down. We only found out 3 days ago. And then we saw the video, the live stream." The room feels smaller now, heavier. The captain kneels beside Max, who sits patiently by Linda's side, cloudy eyes blinking slowly. "Maximus, service number 0427K9. We are here today to correct what never should have happened. He opens the first pin, carefully clips it to Max's vest, then the second, then the third. A slow silence builds, then applause. It starts with one person, an older man in a booth, then a young couple, then the college student who live-streamed the mocking video, stands, claps, even with tears streaming down his face. The applause swells until everyone in the cafe is on their feet, not out of obligation, out of respect. Linda stands there, overwhelmed. She drops to one knee beside Max, cradling his graying face in her hands. "I'm so proud of you," she whispers. "I always was." And then a soft voice behind her. "Linda." It's Grant, still in his apron, still pale, but changed. He swallows hard. Then louder. "Linda, I want to apologize." The room quiets slightly. "I didn't know. I didn't think. I just saw a problem. I didn't see the soul." He steps forward, uncertain. "I'd like to offer your job back. Full-time, whatever schedule you want." Linda stares at him. She's not cruel. She's not cold. But before she can even speak, another voice cuts in. "That won't be necessary." A woman standing beside Captain Washington. Civilian clothes. ID badge hanging from her neck. She steps forward and smiles gently. "Ms. Hayes, my name is Evelyn Briggs. Department of Veterans Affairs, K-9 Division." She reaches into her coat pocket, pulls out a slim folder, and hands it to Linda. "We watched everything. The footage. The way you defended him. You didn't just protect Max. You honored every K-9 handler and every dog that ever served. The world needs more people like you." Linda opens the folder. Inside, an offer. A full-time role at the regional VA K-9 Rehabilitation Unit, helping retired military dogs transition to civilian life. Full benefits, competitive salary. Most of all, purpose. Linda's eyes blur. She presses a hand to her mouth. Evelyn leans closer. "We think Mac deserves to be the face of something bigger. And we think you do too." The crowd doesn't clap this time. They stand still, watching a woman who gave a stray a warm bowl of water, now offered a future she never asked for, but earned with quiet bravery. Sometimes, the greatest acts of heroism happen without headlines. Not on the battlefield, but in the quiet moments. When someone chooses compassion over convenience. When someone sees a soldier where the world sees a stray. And just like that, everything changed. Linda didn't just gain a new job. She found a mission. And Max finally got the homecoming he'd always deserved. But the biggest surprise was still waiting. In an envelope tucked inside Max's vest, a final message. From someone none of them expected. 6 months have passed since that unforgettable day at the cafe. The live stream is long gone, but its impact still rippling outward. Linda Hayes didn't just take a new job. She stepped into a new calling. We open on sunlight, streaming through a long window. Inside the VAK-9 Rehabilitation Center, everything feels calm, focused, healing. There's a young woman kneeling beside a golden retriever, gently guiding her through a series of mobility exercises. That woman, Linda Hayes, and beside her, alert, calm, tail wagging gently, is Max. His coat's a little shinier, his posture stronger, but it's his spirit that's grown. Linda calls out softly, "Okay, Bella, sit." The retriever hesitates. She's skittish, wounded not just in body, but in trust. But then Max moves beside her, one paw, then the other. Slow, steady, patient. Bella watches and mirrors him. She sits. A smile breaks across Linda's face. A nearby staff member, Dr. Chen, the center's clinical director, watches quietly from the hallway, arms crossed, eyes wet. Later, in an interview room, Dr. Chen speaks directly to camera. When Max first arrived, we weren't sure how he'd adjust. His eyes were tired. His gait was stiff. But then, something happened. He became a guide, not just for the dogs, but for the veterans too. His presence, it heals. A therapy group in session. Two veterans seated in a circle. One of them, missing part of his leg, reaches down to pet Max as he rests at their feet. "I lost two brothers in my unit," the man says quietly. "But when Max lays his head on my lap, it's like someone stayed behind to carry the weight with me." Linda's voice narrates over the scene. Max doesn't need sight to see pain. He feels it. And somehow, he softens it. Cut to another moment. A little girl, maybe 8, visiting her dad at the center. She hesitates near Max, afraid. Linda kneels beside her. "This is Max," she says gently. "He's a soldier too, like your dad." The girl blinks, then slowly reaches out. Max lowers his head, letting her touch his muzzle. The room fades quieter, like everyone's watching something sacred. Then, a moment of quiet reflection. Linda and Max walk along a fenced outdoor path as the sun begins to set. Golden light wraps around them. She stops, kneels beside him, and whispers, "You changed everything, you know that?" Max leans into her. She laughs. "Even now, you're still teaching me." Then, she pulls out a small envelope. A letter, postmarked from overseas. The handwriting is sharp, military. She unfolds it and reads aloud. "To Linda Hayes, I heard what you did for Max. I heard how you stood when others sat. I can't thank you enough, but I'll be arriving stateside next week, and I'd like to try. Sergeant David Rodriguez, 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment." Linda stares at the letter a moment, then folds it back up, presses it to her chest. Max barks. Once. As if he remembers that name. Sometimes redemption doesn't roar in with sirens or headlines. Sometimes it walks in on 4 tired paws and changes everything it touches. In a world so quick to judge, it only took one act of kindness to rewrite a forgotten soldier's story. And now, that story's not finished, because Sergeant Rodriguez is coming home, and what he brings with him will change everything again. For 6 months, Linda and Max became the heart of the VA's K9 Rehabilitation Center. Together, they healed wounds, seen and unseen. But one story wasn't finished. One thread had been waiting to return. And now, it was time. The sun filters softly through the wide windows of the center. It's early. The grounds are quiet, wrapped in birdsong, and that calm that comes only with purpose. Linda kneels beside a chocolate lab named Bella, guiding her gently with hand signals. Beside her, Max lies patiently, his ears flicking with every sound, even if he can no longer see. A Marine in recovery watches from a few yards away. He's missing his right leg. His hand trembles slightly when he pets Bella, but when Max limps over and rests his head on the man's knee, the tremble stops. Dr. Chen, head of the center, watches from a distance, notebook closed for once. Later that day, in an interview filmed for a VA documentary, he says softly, "I've worked with hundreds of therapy dogs. But Max, his presence heals, even blind, even old. He knows where the pain is. He finds it, and he doesn't leave until it softens." Linda smiles at the footage as it plays in the break room. She's still in her faded blue volunteer vest, still working overtime, still refusing pay. It's been 6 months since she was fired. 6 months since she chose kindness over comfort. 6 months since the soldiers walked into that cafe, and she's never looked back. until today. A quiet knock at the front of the center breaks the afternoon stillness. Linda walks to the door. Standing outside is a man in uniform. He's thin, tired-looking. One arm clutches a cane, the other carries a folded-up dog harness. It's battered, worn, with the faint print of a unit badge on the strap. His voice is soft. "I'm looking for Max." Linda's heart skips. The man straightens. "I'm Sergeant Miguel Rodriguez. Max was my partner." She opens the door wider. Her hand flies to her mouth. Because even before she says a word, Max knows. The dog stirs from across the room. His head lifts. Blind eyes blink toward the open air, nostrils flaring. And then he moves. Slow, limping, but purposeful, like he remembers. Rodriguez kneels, voice cracking. "Come on, buddy. It's me. It's been a while." Max nudges into him, tail thudding once, twice. The room is silent, except for the sound of a man and his dog, reunited after years of separation. Reunited not in war, but in healing. Linda watches with tears in her eyes. "I thought he was gone," Rodriguez whispers. "We lost contact after my injury. They told me he'd retired. No one said where." He places the old harness on Max's back, and Max, with a dignity forged through war and loss, stands straighter. He's still blind, still aging, but at this moment, he is a soldier again. The next week, the VA hosts a ceremony on the lawn. Cameras, families, soldiers from the unit, they all come. Max is awarded a final medal, the Medal of Canine Honor, presented by Sergeant Rodriguez himself. But it's not just for what he did on the battlefield. It's for what he's done since. Dr. Chen steps up. And we also honor the woman who refused to walk away, who stood between injustice and a blind veteran no one else saw. Linda Hayes. She's stunned. The crowd rises in applause. From the back, a familiar voice calls out, "It's Grant." He's not yelling this time, just holding out a small envelope. "I was wrong, Linda. I hope you'll take your job back." Linda smiles politely, but shakes her head. "I already have one." The DVA's regional director steps up beside her. She's not just a volunteer anymore. Starting Monday, Linda joins our staff full-time, overseeing therapy, K9 training. She's the heart of this place, and we intend to keep it beating. The crowd cheers. But as Linda looks over at Max, peaceful, proud, she senses something. Later that evening, back in the quiet of the center, Max lies beside her desk. His breathing is slower now, shallow, each breath a little more effort. Rodriguez sits beside him, one hand on Max's side. "I think he waited for me," he says quietly. Linda nods, her voice thick. "He waited to know you were okay." There's no whimper, no cry, just a long exhale. Max closes his eyes and slips away with his people beside him. Sometimes the greatest heroes don't wear uniforms forever. Sometimes they walk quietly among us, scarred, tired, and forgotten, until someone chooses to see them again. And when that happens, healing begins. Max's story didn't end that day. It began echoing in the hearts of thousands. Because kindness doesn't stop at the edge of comfort zones. It begins there. And Linda? She never served in a war, but she stood for something. And in doing so, she proved what every soldier already knows. Courage isn't loud. It's choosing to do what's right when no one else will. They called him blind. But today, Max sees more than ever before. And a fired waitress? She found her purpose. End frame. Subscribe for more heartwarming real-life moments, where no hero is ever forgotten. Share Max's story. Help someone feel better today.